I'm your host, Jordan Love, and I'm back. It's been a break for a long time. Feels like forever, but I'm with you today, and we're covering a short time interview with our new guest, who's going to pretty much give us a earful tonight. He is no other than Bishop James R. Small, District Overseer for the New Testament Church of God in Jamaica. Miss Bishop Small, welcome to Chat with the
Thank
Stars.
you. It has been a pleasure.
Yes.
I look forward to this, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to share and to be engaged in this manner.
Yes. You are from the country, the beautiful island of Jamaica.
Indeed.
Can you tell us a little bit what it's like being a Jamaican? Because we just celebrated 56 years of independence. So,
That's right.
what is it like to be a Jamaican?
Jamaica for me is one of the best places in the world, and it is best because of the people, yes, the food, and a lot of the attractions that we have to offer. I want to believe that when God created the world, he stopped long in Jamaica. Yes, yes.
Yes, so you're a proud Jamaican.
Proud Jamaican. Of course, we have our challenges like everywhere else in the world. But I think that we are on top of most of them. And we are believing God that with the help of the church, we'll be able to correct most of these issues.
The new born again experience is more important than the physical born again.
Sure, sure.
Yes. No, we're going to be touching on that a lot tonight.
Yes,
What is it like being you're a Christian?
that's right.
What is that like? What is the definition of Christianity?
Well, it is a sharing and having a personal relationship with Christ. Jesus is the Lord of one's life. And so, from the word Christianity, it is those who are followers of Christ, those who have shared their faith
Okay.
and have a pleasure to follow Him and to
Yes.
live the life that He requires.
Right. Now you are the legacy of a family where everybody is saved.
That's right. You know, that's interesting. And I'm glad you start there because all my life I have been surrounded by Christians. My parents were Christians. My other siblings, I am from a family of 13. Yes, my parents have 11 of us. I am the sixth of the 11. And of course, all of us are now adults, grown adults. And what is very interesting about my family is that we all share the same faith. We have all pledged our allegiance to Christ. We are all Christian. We are all married. Yes, my parents were married before they started having children. I think that's the best way. And so they have taught us those godly principles of family. And we have followed in that same footstep. So being a Christian, it is where we tap into all of the resources, all of the blessings that God has for those who will love Him and follow Him.
Okay. Now you grew up in Bamboo St. Anne.
That's all right.
What was your childhood like? Let's go back to the upbringing.
Wow.
Let's start with
Back
that.
in the days,
Yes.
it was not like contemporary Jamaica now. As I grew up as a child, we didn't have the luxuries. I grew up in a community in deep rural St. Anne, community called Bamboo. Bamboo is more north, I would say northwest of St. Anne's Bay, and it has a rich vegetation in terms of cool all year round. So pretty much I grew up in a community that was more for farming and cattle rearing, quick crops, and all of that. My father, being a farmer, he was much involved in cattle rearing, planting the good old Jamaican yam and potatoes and corn and all of those stuff. So we grew up eating from the farm. That was like, a
Oh,
part
you
of
ate
our,
what you
we
produce.
ate what we produced. And then for me, childhood was more like we were not, privileged to have like the toys that the children would buy in the stores. So we made our own toys. We made our
Such
trucks.
as.
Indeed, we made our trucks. We made toys from the things that were around us. Give you an example. We made a truck from picking the young oranges or grapefruits, and we cut off the sides and turn them into wheels. And we get pieces of stick and put them as like the axle for that car or truck. And we will use like the drinks box, like an orange juice box, to make the body of the vehicle. And we put a string onto that and pull it as a truck. Now that was fascinating as a child growing up. So as a child, some children, those who were more middle upper class, who would purchase toys in the stores. No, we made our own toys.
And you were satisfied with that?
Not really. There were times we looked across and saw a child with something that looks better than yours, because yours were unmade. But what was very interesting about it is that we love what we did.
Okay, you love what you did.
Yes.
What was the school that you attended? What are some of the schools?
Then the school name was the Bamboo All Age.
Oh.
It was more like what you would have called elementary into mid school in the United States. Today it is renamed to be the Bamboo Primary School. So the government has moved the all age. All age would have gone to about grade 9. And then when you get to grade 9, you would matriculate to grade 10 and 11 and high school. But now the government have changed the system that most of the all ages are now like primary, some are junior high, primary and junior high. But in Jamaica, most of our primary school, which is more like your elementary, and then at age 12 into 13, they will move into high school.
Into high school. Now, what are some of your struggles growing up from a poor family? What were your struggles?
A struggle would I consider to be more, especially now that I've grown up and looking back, I think the struggle would have been like, I remember walking barefooted, even to go to school. In my early primary, all age school years, I remember probably having limited amount of like clothing. You had like one shoe that you wear to church. When I grew older, you probably had shoes that was handed down from your older siblings.
Oh.
That sort of a thing. I see that as a struggle. But as I grew up, I realized that even that was a struggle. We were poor in terms of some of the material things, but we were rich in terms of the spiritual values and the family values that were imparted to us.
What are some of the values that your parents passed on to you?
For me, most importantly was your love for God. Just to love God and to love others. So the great commandment comes out there. Loving God and loving your neighbor. We were taught to be respectful.
Right.
You dare not pass, especially as a child growing up, an adult on the street without saying good morning or good afternoon, whatever time of the day it was, you apply. So you were taught to be respectful. For example, if you were not respectful, you could probably get a flagging for that. Just passing an adult on the street without saying hello, that could have been required for you to get a flagging. So for me, my childhood experience has passed on a lot of values of loving God, loving others, being respectful, being honest.
Yes.
Honesty
was
really imparted to us. We were told, my parents would test our ability. Like they would put things down and say, okay, this is not for you. If you need it, you should ask for it.
Yes.
Yeah, so
those are the values.
Real good Christian family values.
We're going to go to a short break at this time. We'll be right back with Bishop James Small.
Thank you.
I was going to say doctor. Is he? He is Dr. Small?
No, just Bishop James Small. That's fine. That's fine.
That's fine. You'll see the guy.
This is Abby McDonald, and you're tuned into RHRTV1. Keep it locked. This is Abby McDonald, and you're tuned into RHRTV1. Keep it locked. This is Abby McDonald, and you're tuned into RHRTV1. Keep it locked. This is Abby McDonald, and you're
Jamaica, Bamboo St. Anne, Jamaica. And he's a proud Jamaican. We are celebrating our 56th anniversary. We are so proud of Jamaica. We love our country. Not say that we don't love the United States of America, but we love Jamaica. And we're talking about value system in the home. Yes. How important it is for a home to have a value system.
Value system enrich families so that persons grow with a sense of respect for one another, grow to value each other, grow to have a sense of belonging. The love is shared. So, real Christian values, especially when we pray about everything and about anything. So, these values for me are that which enrich or make the family really a blessing to each other.
Yes. Now let's go back to your high school when the real temptation starts to come in
That's
now.
it.
And now it threatens your Christian morals and
Yes.
value system and beliefs. What was high school like growing in Jamaica?
Well, up until I graduated from high school, I wasn't a Christian yet, but grew in a Christian home. But I did not make the commitment yet. High
What
school,
stopped you what stopped you?
well, maybe not ready, maybe the influence of friends. I should let you know that most of my siblings, older and younger, made commitments to the Lord earlier than I did. That's interesting.
Yes,
I want to
I'm
think
really
that I was one
curious.
of the more rebellious one growing up as a child. I was waiting for maybe till I grew, become an adult and I could make the decision on my own, that sort of a thing.
Did you have to go to church even though you weren't?
But I had to go to church. Church was not an option. No, I'm telling you, to the point where I used to put off a little thing on my parents. So I was doing very well at high school. And, being a prefect, helping with student leadership, doing well in my high school years. So I used to use this to go on my parents to get them to let me stay home, that I had homework.
Oh,
So on Sundays when I didn't want to go to church, I said, I have a lot of homework and all of that. And then I would stay home doing homework and cooking. So I developed some, culinary skills, just cooking and all of that. Until one Sunday my mom said, you know that you're going to church? I said, I had homework. She said, guess what? You're going to church. And if you don't go to church today, I'm not sending you to school tomorrow. No, honestly, I wanted to go to school. But my high school years were very productive. I was very involved at school. Were very disciplined and not much in sports, but more in academics.
more than academics. They were not peer pressure.
Sure, a
How
little
did you
here or there.
withstand peer pressure?
I would consider that more in the positive way. I chose my friends very carefully from high school days, and the pressure that I think I enjoyed in high school was that we really pressured, especially the females. There was about 3 or 4 boys of us from grade 9 up to about grade 11. We pressured the girls to sort of like us or to get into, like you call it, friendship with us. And how we did that was that we were doing sometimes better than them academically. So we tried to help them with their work, especially the maths. And in doing that, we become like a star, and we could pressure them now into getting their friendship and sometimes doing things that they didn't want to do.
Were you involved in that? What were the
A
things
little
that-
to an extent.
So you
Yeah.
had a girlfriend?
Sure, that we couldn't call that name as a child in high school. No, my parents would say no, that is forbidden, that sort of thing. But we were very, I would say, considered clean friendship. Yeah.
So you understood the world before you became a Christian. At what age did you become a Christian?
I wasn't very exposed to the world. I remember the first time I went to a dance hall. Yeah, and I had to hide and go. That's the truth. My parents could know that I go dance hall. That was totally forbidden. But you hide and take a little, and even while in the dance, I'm hiding. Because I can't let nobody in the dance who know my parents know that I'm in the dance. Because if them know, if them see me in the dance, yeah, I don't do a little thing. You are in the dance. I remember my world. What really influenced me to become a Christian, I think it was the prayers of my parents. And then there was an outstanding leader in the church. So one night I just ended up at church, and it was like they were having some revival services. And this guy, Ernest Higgins, came to my seat and invited me to go up with him to the altar. Of course, I've been to the altar numerous times. I told my parents I was saved maybe over 100 times at home, but you never kept it. You got saved every night going to bed, but waking up, you're just going back to do the same thing. But that night, and that was about probably 6 months after graduating from high school, that night, something happened to me. I went to the altar, like I've been there before, prayed that simple prayer, but that night, I felt an experience with the Lord. Maybe a warmth, maybe I felt that God was touching my life in somewhere, and I just knew something happened that night. I can't really even explain it thoroughly, but I just knew that God took a hold of my life. And how I really knew I was saved was I had a girlfriend who was a part of the church. But I didn't like her because she was in church. I liked her for other reasons, worldly reasons, I should say. But she wanted me to be friends to get saved, and then we would probably develop our friendship. And when I got saved, I told her the friendship was over. And she couldn't believe it. I said, yeah, it's over. I'm now a Christian. She said, no, I'm a Christian. I think that we should now get more serious. I said, no, I want to serve the Lord, and I want us to end the relationship. We continue being just good Christian friends, but that girlfriend thing was over.
Was over. You know that change had started to take place.
That's how I knew that change really started. Yes.
Now, growing up, you have a lot of leadership responsibility, and you are given accolades for it. You're a very good leader. A matter of fact, how many churches do you pastor now?
Presently, I pastor 2 churches, but I supervise 5 churches. So, as a district overseer, I pastor the Savannah Lamar New Testament Church of God. That's in Westmoreland, close to Negril. And then I also pastored the Landilo Church. And I should let you know I was instrumental in preaching out that church or starting that church. I got support from other churches in the parish, but it was through my leadership that church started. So
when did your leadership qualities, when did you realize you had leadership skills within you?
I thought more or less it was from early, doing a little at home. Most of my siblings looked up to me, and then at high school, I became a prefect of my class. And then after high school, when I gave my life to the Lord, I became a leader in the youth ministries at church. So I serve as a youth president, what we call more like a youth pastor. I serve in other capacities in the men's ministry. And then shortly after, I went off to college. During college days, from my first year in college, I was asked to serve as the president of my peer group. So right through my life, I recognize leadership as being my strength. I think I've grown to like or to love the leadership that Christ provided. And I read a book recently about leading the way Christ led. And for me, that has impacted me most significantly. And Jesus' type of leadership was a servant leadership. As he said, he came not to be saved, but or to serve rather, but he came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life. So my idea of leadership is one that is servant-driven, one that is it takes sacrifice and commitment, and one that you must love doing. Yeah.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask you, someone from your, from your crack, I would say caliber. A lot of religions do not support children being educated. They should only focus on getting saved and going and doing the gospel, preaching the gospel work. What is your take on that? Do you believe that children should educate? You've been to college?
Sure. No, I'm thankful that you asked that question because the values that my parents has passed on was that they were ardent Christians, they loved the Lord, we were encouraged to go to church, but we were never denied of education. As a matter of fact, they supported us going to school and all of that. But what I think that my parents had was the balance.
Oh, okay.
And that's what most parents are missing, especially Christian parents. While you are encouraging and pushing your children for the academics and push your children for good education, you must also encourage them to have a good relationship with Christ. Both go hand in hand. As a matter of fact, my mother would have said it this way. She would have preferred for us to know the Lord more than be having an education. And not that she's putting down education, but she put a high value on the relationship with the Lord. And then I also believe that once you know the Lord, He gives you the type of ambition. Being a Christian makes you ambitious, makes you want to see the sky as the limit, makes you want to pursue your dreams. So being a Christian doesn't tell you that you should live a mediocre life and that you should be the worst and any little mediocre education. Go, no, you want to get the best. So even for my kids, the Lord has blessed me with a wife and 2 kids. My children are now one son is in a university and my daughter is getting ready for university. I am pushing them to have a good education, but I also have inculcated them good Christian values. They are both Christians. They love the Lord, and that balance for me is what is missing in many families today.
Wow. How do you successfully lead that in your home with so much rebellion coming from teenagers?
I think it goes through relationship. Parents must develop what I call relationship with their children, where you allow your children to grow, to have a friendship with you. But while you establish friendship with your kids, you also allow them to understand that there are some level of standards that you set. There are some boundaries that you have. So the respect for you, the understanding that they must obey you and they must look up to you for leadership. That has never been easy. I think that has been a real challenge. But I prayed and begged God because I've seen children growing up in pastor's home or in Christian leaders.
Yes, because back in the day,
yes,
3 children were classified as the worst.
Good.
Pastor Pitney.
Yes.
Policeman Pitney.
That's right.
And teacher Pitney.
Okay. Because they don't spend quality time with their kids. I have learned this one. Passing Christian in Pitney first. So I use that principle in everything that I do. That means if I am spending time with people, I counsel them, I encourage them to give their life to the Lord. I also want the same for my kids. I want the same for my family. So while it's important for pastors, police, and other, public leaders giving of themselves to their community and to public life, you must balance it. You must balance it in taking time out for your family. I'll give you an example. While I was doing my postgraduate studies, I was doing the master's program in Cleveland, Tennessee. It was very challenging. I was going to classes like 9 hours for the day. I was doing 18 credits per week. I had to do like a 6 hours job per day. And so I was getting like 4 or 5 hours sleep per day. And to balance that with 2 young kids that were like 4 and 6 respectively. Then with my wife. But I tell you what I do. On a Friday, I put down everything. I drop all schoolwork. That day I had no classes. And I will take my children out to the park. We will go shopping. We'll go just having fun. That I always look forward to that time with my family. And then on Sundays we go to church. And sometime on Saturdays, we'll do a little bit more shopping and all of that. So it is the quality time. And I've learned this. Many people are in the home with their kids, but they are not spending quality time.
Okay.
You can be in your home with your kid for 24 hours, but never spend 1 hour quality time. Sometimes you can be there for 1 hour, and it's more than the 24 hours that you are there with your kids. It is the quality time. It's what you do that makes the difference.
Yes, this is a lot of food.
Yeah.
And you're feeding me, and I'm learning because I also have a young child.
Indeed.
So I'm learning. I'm taking from you for myself as
Indeed.
well, not just for the public who's watching, but for me as well. I'm just so elated to hear this stuff coming from you. Yeah. And now I know why you are who you are in your district and in your community and in Jamaica.
That's it.
Now, you have a lot of rebellion with teenagers and the dressing and the dress code. You have a daughter. How do you keep her now to not wanting to portray that type of lifestyle?
You know, that's a very interesting question. I've never had to reprimand or seriously discipline my kids for dressing. I think I must commend my wife. She has done an excellent job in sort of inculcating them from an early stage that being Christian, there are certain things that makes you different. Okay. So my wife would have done more of the encouragement and sort of guiding them along the way. You see, how you guide your kids, the guidance you provide. I used to use this alliteration in parenting, guarding them, protecting them from the things that will destroy their life, giving them the love, the warmth, the fellowship, the belonging. You guide them in terms of giving them certain sense of direction. All of these are what makes parenting becomes really valuable. So I personally never had much challenge. Maybe my wife would have had more because she does most of that in terms of helping me. But the truth is, I've never had to reprimand or to discipline them. I'll give you a joke. My son, when he was probably about 5, 6, we watched him going to bed one night with his shirt tucked into his shorts. And we laughed at it. And, we just knew that he was emulating me. He was really following my example. That even if I'm in the public, I'm generally very well dressed. I know sometimes shirts are tucked in. I grew up a little now, I can become a little casual. If I'm wearing a t-shirt, I can wear it out and all of that. So my kids I've never had to do that. But as a pastor, I now have the responsibility to guide kids. And what I point out to them is to be different. Being a Christian, it means that you are a contrast person or society. If you're a Christian and you do everything that the world does, then what's the sense? You have to be different. Christ has taught us to be different. Yes.
Wow. Now your marriage. Let's talk about that. Let's go into marriage.
Oh, yes, yes.
We don't want to skip over that at all. You talk a lot about your wife.
Sure.
It sounds like you love her very much.
Indeed. This marriage has been going now 24 years strong. And I think the relationship is close to about 31 years. I met my wife while doing what we call a youth exchange. About a year after I got saved, I became a leader in the youth ministries. And then the pastor had a youth exchange where the young people from my church went to our church. And that church was the church he was born and grown up in. So we had that experience of going to my pastor's home church. And then I met her. What was interesting, among all the girls and all the young people and all the ladies I saw that day, my wife stood out. And
what stood out? What made you
I think it was her beauty, her eyes. There's something about her eyes that just captivated me. And what was interesting, I was the speaker. I was the preacher that day. And I learned later that she was also admiring me. So it was interesting. So we just started a casual relationship. Then I went off to college, she went off to college. But we kept in touch. during college days, I felt like there was a little strain on the relationship. So, sort of not so close, but we kept in touch right through college. It was 2 years after graduating with my undergraduate studies at Bethel Bible College um, that I felt now the need for a relationship. I felt the need for a companion. And I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, among all the women I've met, I need you now to guide me into choosing. And one of the areas that speaks volume, apart from my prayers and seeking the Lord and fasting and all of that, my dad has helped me in that way. One day I went to visit them, and my parents and my dad, I don't know if he felt like sorry for me that I needed to get married now. I was lonely and all of that. But he asked me about a young lady I met, and I couldn't put my hand on who it was. And I started quizzing. He said, "What happened to that young lady from down the parish?" Now, the older people call Trelawney. I'm from St. Anne, and Trelawney would be down the parish. Oh. So I started saying Trelawney. He said, "Yes." I said, "Who are talking, Daddy?" And when I mentioned Master, he said, "Yes." I love that girl. And when my dad said he loved her, for me, it was like he just awakened that special spot I had in my heart. And that was one of the affirmations that I had. To the point where I am now doing some writing and research on the Pentecostal approach to relationship.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I believe that Christians should not just jump into relationship. I see you today, I marry you tomorrow. No. I think you should explore it, and that one, God should, through the power of the Holy Spirit, should affirm that this is the person for your life. I think your pastor or your Christian leader should also affirm that. I encourage young people, as soon as you start dating someone, tell your pastor about it, that he can help you to pray. Then I also believe your family, as I spoke of my father, should affirm that relationship. No, not that they choose for you, because your parents could say, I don't like that person, or I like that person. But when your parents or your family members help to affirm the person that you will be spending the rest of your life with, it speaks volume. Then your friends should also affirm your relationship. So you should just say you should go out in maybe a group dating and say, ask your friend, what do you think about this person? Let them give you their honest view, because sometimes you are blind to some things. You are so in love, so you don't see the faults. You don't see the challenges. But your friends are seeing what you don't see. We say it in Jamaica like this. A blind high man is king. No, sorry. A one high man is king in blind high man country. So what your friends see, you will not see it because you are blind to it. You are so infatuated. You are so in love. I believe in following those 5 principles. Let the Holy Spirit help you. Let your parents, your pastor, who is using through the help of the Holy Spirit too, your parents or family members, your friends, and your own personal conviction. I call that getting the click. There's something that happens in your heart that you know when you are in love with someone. Yes.
Wow. So you know that. So you are wise to know that you're choosing someone from God's approval.
That's it. I got that affirmation when I asked my wife. And then I learned something in college. It was one of my professors who said to me while I was doing my undergraduate studies, I think he spoke to us in a counseling or ethics class. He said, whenever you propose to a woman, or even, most likely in Jamaica, the men is the one who proposed, you should know what the answer will be. Because you'd have been growing in the relationship, growing in love, so she can't wait for you to pop the question. And I think I did that to my wife. We grew in the relationship. I knew she liked me so much. And when the day we went on a date, and
what was your first date like? What was that like?
That was a little awkward because it wasn't something that we practice a lot, from my Christian, more strict religious background. But and she was from a similar background, so being from a Christian home also. So we were a little awkward. just asking each other about the likes and dislikes, asking each other about future plans, school and education.
But what about compatibility?
We shared a compatibility in that we were from similar family structure in terms of her parents were married, my parents were married. Her mom was a Christian, her dad wasn't a Christian yet. My both parents were Christian. She was not from a large family like mine. She was from a family of 6. I'm from a family of 30. But I think the key thing was that our socio-economic, meaning we could call it poor, up to the middle, not really reaching middle class. We were between dirt poor to middle class. It's somewhere in that mix. Her parents, or maybe her father, was even more fortunate because he started traveling on the farm work program to the United States. So she was privileged from an early stage to have some of the luxuries of America. Having a television in your home was like luxury.
Okay.
Right. I didn't have that in my early childhood growing up.
Oh.
So, but we had similar socioeconomic situation in terms of family structure, home structure. So there was much compatibility with my wife and I in terms of family, church, socioeconomic. What I found that was most outstanding about her, though, she was very ambitious. She wanted the best out of life. She wanted always to pursue goals in education. And what stood out most importantly was her love for the Lord. And, we were both Christian when we met. So we were always sending Bible verses. That's something, young people would send probably little, love verses and all of that. We were always sending Bible verses, read this passage and be blessed, and read this passage and be blessed. But looking back, I think it was a good thing. Some people would say, yes, I was talking to my kids about our growing up experience and when we met, and they said, boring.
Yeah,
that's what they said.
Yes,
that was boring. Comparing what they do today. I don't think it was. I think I value so much of what my wife and I, the love that we shared. For me, what was most outstanding was just that we shared a great love for God and a love for each other.
How long you two have been together now? 24 years. Wow. Do you believe in divorce, Pastor?
Yes and no. Yes, first, because there are people in this world. I've been counseled with them. I've been worked with their family challenges. I recommend divorce because whenever relationship become very abusive, lives are threatened, and all of those type of stuff. No, because for my wife and I, it's not in our book. We don't see divorce because we have grown to love each other and to be very committed to the Christian values of until death separate us. Yes.
Wow. It's not every day that you hear that coming, especially from, you have pastors who are divorcing.
Yes. And I sympathize with them. I have colleagues back in Jamaica, not many, but a few who are divorcees. And I really sympathize with them because being a counselor and doing more postgraduate studies now with family and counseling, I understand. I understand that we live in a real world and there are real problems out there. And that's one of the things that has motivated me to be doing some work now in my postgraduate studies with family and leadership, because I want to make a prescription to the world that you can have good family life.
Yes.
Especially when you both learn to model what God requires. Yes.
We're coming up to a break at this time. We are talking with Bishop James R. Small, who is a overseer for the New Testament Church of God in Jamaica, and we will be right back after the break.
I know you want it. You got to have it. You got to get it. You're a good girl. Hey, RHRTV1. Christopher Johnny Daly live in Florida. I like the whole thing. Look here at RHRTV1 are starting. Right about now, I want big up RHRTV1 to keep it real, going from strength to strength.
Are you in need of home improvements? From ceiling to floors, cabinets and doors, Newcraft Home Improvement and Cabinetry. Custom bathrooms, kitchen, wood floor, molding, painting and more. Contact us at 754-367-0403 or 954-559-1506. Email newcraft@ymail.com. Visit us at newcraftimprovements.com.
Welcome back to Chatting with the Stars. I'm your host, Jordan Love. It's a pleasure being back. We've been off air for a little bit, and I know you, my loyal viewers, miss me so much. I get phone calls. I am being badgered. You have no idea. And I value this program so much because we learn a lot. I'm learning so much as the host for this program from Bishop James Small, who is talking about family life and marriage, and we see, and divorce, and we see so many of that happening within the churches right now. As we said before, we are living in a real world and there are real problems out there. We want to talk about financial stability in the marriage. And this is where careers come in. And this is where materialistic comes in. So and now that you're doing your doctoral studies, you are now able to comment more on that.
Indeed. Financial stability plays an integral role in family life. As a matter of fact, statistics says today that many marriages are broken up because of the lack of knowledge or having the wrong approach to finances. I grew up to see like three patterns. My parents' pattern that my dad was the breadwinner. He works, he brings the money in, he gives it to my mother. She was the manager. She manages the money. For others, I see also...
Do you do that? Do you
not
take home
really.
the money to your wife?
Not really. We have a more excellent way, and I'm going to go to that. The second pattern is where persons share the responsibility. So wife and husband, they both work, or even if it's one working, but what they do is that they just take care of the responsibilities that they agree on. So the husband can say, I will buy the food, I pay the bills. The wife would say, okay, I will pay for the transportation, or I'll pay the mortgage. But they share responsibilities. This one is good, but I think brothers and sisters can live like that. In the one with my parents, that's good also, but what if your wife or your husband, if the other way around, what if that person is not very mature and know how to budget and plan accordingly? For us, my wife and I, the most excellent way is where we share a common, what we call a central fund, or we pool all the resources together. So we put all the money in one account and then we make a budget for it. But there was an important item in that budget. We call it the spouse money. It is like taking 20% out of the total. So say we get $10,000 for the month, just for argument's sake. I love to get that anyway.
Yes.
5% and 10% would be 1,000, and so 20% would be like 2,000, right? So what we would do is to share that 2,000 evenly. So my wife would get 1,000, I would get 1,000. Now what that does is that we share it in this way that she can use that for her own personal or even to help family or friends. No questions asked. And I will do the same. Sometimes we can spend it back on each other. That's fine. The other 80% now, we both work it together. So we make a budget, what goes to the Lord for tithing, what goes to mortgage, rent, or what goes to every item that we spend on, transportation, children, school, whatever. That's the budget that we do.
What if you don't have enough money to do that?
Well, it's not the marriage. It is not the amount of money that make you do it. It is the principle.
Okay.
So it may be that you are getting $100 for the month, and it may be that only one person is working. It is where that both persons come together and says, we have only $100 to spend for the month. How do we do this? It is similar to what my parents would have done. It's only that most of the time my dad was the breadwinner. He was the one who works. My mom was more a stay-home mom. And then she would have helped my dad sometimes selling the produce at the market and so on, or she would do her own little marketing of stuff. But it is the principle. The principle here is that both parties must be intimately involved in their finances. My wife never had to ask me, what is your paycheck like?
Right, because in some marriages you can't even ask the man
My
much do you
my
make.
wife never had to ask what is on your paycheck because she knows. I don't need to ask her what is on her paycheck. I know. I can't see why people should be engaged in a sexual relationship. They are engaged in sexual intimacy, but not financial intimacy. Now tell me, if you are married and you are for me, sexual intimacy is one of the highest form of intimacy one could
If we want to touch that,
yes, and if you are engaged in sexual intimacy, why not financial intimacy? As a matter of fact, it solved most of my problem. My wife never had to ask me, how did the money goes? Did you spend some on another girl out the road? No, she don't have to ask because she knows where all the money goes. She's intimately involved in that budget. I am intimately involved in that budget. And if she goes down the road and sees something that she would like, it was not on the budget, but we have enough money, she may just give me a call. If she can't get me, I trust her enough that it was valuable enough for her, and that's fine. Or it was valuable enough for me and her or for the family. So we don't have financial problems. We don't, because we learn to share intimacy in finances. We learn to value each other's and respect each other's financial needs. And so, for give you an example, I'm studying and it costs a lot, especially studying in the United States. But my wife is pushing me to do it. That's how much she loves me. She's the one that is helping me and making me to make the sacrifices and to budget for it. So that's the type of intimacy. In other relationship, oh, the husband can't do this, the wife can't do that, because they are not intimately involved.
Yes, let's talk about intimacy.
Yes.
What is intimacy?
That is into me or into me see. Let me
Repeat
explain
that
that
again. Yes.
When I'm intimately involved with someone, you know very much about the person. Into me see. That's my definition of intimacy. It means that we share a relationship where you become my best friend. And there is absolutely nothing that I consider that is valuable, worthwhile, important to both of us that we will not share. No, that is separate and apart from the confidentiality about people. Because as a counselor, people share things about themselves that I consider it to be very confidential between the counselor and myself. So I would not share that with my wife. And she values that, and she will never ask me, how did that counseling went or what happened? No, we are counselors, so we respect people's privacy. So we never get into people's privacy by trying to investigate what happened in her situation. But intimacy is where you share a relationship spiritually. We pray together. We share Bible studies together. We had sometimes some hot debates in Bible study because my wife can be very controversial and she love to use the term, I play the devil's advocate. So what she does when she do that though is to sharpen me. Yes. She pulls out she challenged me. So when I go before people, I have been challenged before. So we have spiritual discussions and intimacy, emotional, sexual, financial, in every area of our lives, we share intimacy.
Let's talk about the sex one. A lot of Christian couples don't even like to mention the word sex. It's becoming now
a taboo.
Taboo. Yes.
You see, it's because of how they were grown up. It's person's upbringing. And sad to say, that's one of the big, I would say, ignorance of the church. Because Jesus spoke about sex. The Bible is the best book on sex. Yeah. And as a counselor, I encourage people to read, to study, to know much about the subject. As a matter of fact, that will help you in being a better lover. Oh, sure.
Yes,
The
let's talk.
more I know about sex, is the better lover I am to my wife. So my wife and I, we share counseling partners sometimes. So we do group counseling. We visit various churches and we share about marriage and counseling. And so we talk a lot about how to keep the fire in the marriage. And I'll give you a few hints.
Yes, we want to hear them.
Yeah. So, for example, we encourage Christians to have various positions in lovemaking. Yes. There is nothing in the scripture that says Christian must only do the missionary style,
Mhm.
which is the man above the
Woman.
woman. No, 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 no. What I propose as a Christian counselor, you can do anything in sexual relationship as long as it is not abusive physically, emotionally to the other person.
Have you
Anything.
anything?
And your mind can stretch to that anything. As long as it is not abusive.
It's comfortable.
You're
There you
comfortable.
go.
As long as both parties are comfortable. Yeah.
Now, when you talk about that, are there couples that you have met who are so against that you can't even touch? The wife is denying the husband sex for years. How do you talk to a woman like that?
Again, it's because of ignorance. Sexual fulfillment, or what I call love making. I tend to use the term love making over sexual because sex to me is like this physical exercise.
Okay.
Love making is where you enjoy each other. A lot of men are having sexual fulfillment and their wives are still starving.
Okay.
I want to say to Christian women, especially if you have unsafe spouse, that sex for a man is like food to a child.
Okay.
When you deprive your husband of sex, it's like depriving a toddler or a baby with food. Sex is like, or love making is like his second primary need in marriage. His first need is what I call respectful love. Some psychologists believe that sex is the first need, but I differ. I believe that a man looks for real respect when he feels honored, when he feels like he's the king, when he feels really honored, not feeling as if he is the boss. That's a different thing. Just feeling honored, he's respectful. Whereas for the woman, her first need is what I call appreciative love.
Okay.
So the man loves to say, I love you. And sometimes that love is spelled by the gifts that he gives to her.
Okay.
And the sweet names that he calls her. Honey, sweetie, and all of those nice names. So when a man communicates that to a woman, she feels real loved. So seldomly I call my wife Marcia. I generally say babes or honey. That's how I say.
Yeah, so you practice what you preach.
I practice what I preach.
And you're not, by scriptural reference, you're not allowed to withhold sex from your husband because your body.
No, as a matter of fact, Paul said it in 1 Corinthians 7, that if you are going to do that, you must get each other's consent. And he said, in doing that, it's only for spiritual purpose. Not even if you're in malice, you should do it. Or not even for, Paul didn't even mention physical challenges that you should withhold sex. Of course, one should lend understanding if you are having physical challenges or other emotional challenges. But he did not even mention that. He said only in the case of spiritual discipline, like you're on a fast or you're doing some spiritual duties and you are staying away from each other, and it must be short time and have mutual consent. You must have consent.
Have you ever been attracted by another woman?
Wow, that one is so interesting. Sure. You know what is so funny about that? If I do, and whenever it happens, I share it with my wife. So, I'll come in and I said, honey, I'll give you a joke today. This girl must stop and look for me now. And as I look in her eyes, I just know that she's really sending me a message. And then, being a man, a real man, a Jamaican man, there are times that you will see other females that are looking very attractive. But this is what I want to say to all Christian men.
Yes.
This has helped me, and I think it will help you. I have learned to look only once. So whenever I see a woman that is very attractive, I have disciplined my mind and my eyes to look once. Because I don't want what happened to David to happen to me. It can happen to all of us. You could be saved somewhere, you could be Holy Ghost filled somewhere. If you are not disciplined in your mind, it can happen. David was a faithful man of God. He was a man of God's own heart. But it happened. He looked too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
He played around.
Yes. So I have practiced not to do that. And if I see someone that I think is a little threat to me, my wife is my best friend. I say, honey, girl, that look nice, and she looking at me too hard. And she now become the sort of a protective guard. And this is what I think I love about my wife. She's never jealous. Of course, you say every woman is jealous. But she's not jealous to the point where she does not give me the chance to share and she feel that I'm comfortable with other women. And I try not to give her any reason to be insecure. So I spend longer time with women, I play around women, because the quality time you spend with another woman, or vice versa, the quality time a woman spends with another man, speaks volume. Time is precious. Time means love. Time means love in parenting, that the more time you spend with your kids, it means that you really love them. The more time couples spend with each other, it shows that you love each other. Yeah. So, do
you date? Do you guys still date?
Sure. As a matter of fact, I prescribe that. To maintain a good marriage, we prescribe that even once per month. And if you can do it more often, like once per week. When we just got married, we started like once per week. But other responsibilities come in and so on. I tell you something. We recommend dating not just for ourselves, but for the church. So we prescribe what we call a family day or family night. So people should stay home even one night for the week to have good family life.
Where is Bishop R. James going within the next 5 years? What's the vision now?
Most of what I've shared with you, I want to perfect it. I want to put it in a book form. I want to spend the rest of my life impacting the world, to pass on the values that I have changed my life, has transformed me and made me to be what I am. I want to leave that as a legacy for the generations to come.
It was nice speaking with Bishop James R. Small. It was a pleasure. It was an honor to have you on our set. We are almost out of time. Can you?
I wish we could have just continued and on and on. But life is interesting. We will look forward to this some more time. And I must commend you, Jordan Love. You are an excellent host in terms of being a great interviewer. I have had experiences like this before, but I think you score high. Thank you for this opportunity, and it has been my pleasure, and I look forward to come again.
Yes, please. Thank you. This is Chatting with the Stars. I'm your host, Jordan Love. Join us next week.